So, before I begin this video, I must warn you that this video is going to be long, but it's useful. And I'm just basically merely pointing out some of the things that I've seen. And I seen an article where one of the cops in Breonna Taylor, who he claims that he was injured, that he was going to get a legal team and he was going to file a lawsuit because they were calling him a murderer. And so this woman is dead. She is not coming back. She didn't get injured where she can get on the news or on social media and file lawsuits. This woman lost her life because of a group of people who took her life. And so there's no way else to put it. That woman is not coming back. And $12 million is not going to bring her life back or replace her. And so he can file all the lawsuits that he wants to. But the thing is, he's got to live with him and the other two and the others that were involved, if there were others, have to live with the decisions that they made. And know that these protests that are happening, more and more protests are going to happen. More and more anger is going to erupt because people know that what you all did was wrong. And you know what you did was wrong, those involved. And so that's what I got to say on that, because it was uncalled for. There should have been another course of action that they should have used beside shooting into that woman's apartment. And they know that they were wrong for doing that. And they should have been louder and introduced themselves a little better. And they should have been able to go through another course of action so that it wouldn't have a fatal ending like it did. Had they had done things differently, then maybe they wouldn't be looking at all of this trouble. So that is something they have to live with. They got to think before they start doing things. You can't write off, accuse people who are innocent of doing something they hadn't even done, and then take these sanction violent acts and justify why you did what you did because you know you took the lives of some innocent people. So if you do stuff like that, you got to live with that. You're going to be on the wrong side of history. It's going to go down in history. It's another killing of an innocent black life. And so that's the reason why they had these movements and these protests, because people are tired of this. And you don't live in these neighborhoods and deal with what people have to deal with day in and day out. So if you don't like the outcome and what you're being called, then you should not have done what you did. So looking at this article right here, you see that the mother of the alleged Kenosha shooter gets a standing ovation at the GOP event. And should we be surprised about that? No, we should not be surprised, because what this is saying is that right before us, we see a change in society, and the change is happening rapidly. So there's a couple of dynamics at work here. You also see to the right Donald Trump and the Supreme Court pick. And the Supreme Court pick that he has, he wants her to basically get rid of Obamacare and destroy it, just change it altogether or just get rid of it. And so that's a separate situation, but it all connects. And so this is the scene we have here. Look at this man and look what he's carrying in crowds of people. Now, take a look at this picture. Could you see a black man doing this? Just out of, a plainclothes black man carrying a weapon such as this young guy here. What do you think would happen if you changed this story around and it was a black man, a young black man around the same age as this guy, carrying a firearm like this through a crowd of protesters? What do you think would happen? Just common sense. This is America here. And we know the scenario of what's going on, But let's just say the whole story was changed around. You had a different set of incidences going on, but it was towards white individuals. And it was a black man carrying a firearm, a young black guy, and you knew what he was going to do. You already knew that he was going to go shoot white protesters. What do you think would have happened? He was going to go shoot white protesters, black protesters, or whoever they were, but just having him walk through the crowd openly carrying this type of firearm in plain clothes, how do you think people would have responded? Would the GOP be giving the mother of a black shooter, a black mother, a standing ovation at the GOP event? I think you can answer that question for yourself. So the mother of Kyle Rittenhouse, an Illinois teenager, was charged with fatally shooting 2 people and injuring a third in August during the Black Lives Matter protests in Kenosha, Wisconsin. So it received a standing ovation at the Wisconsin GOP event on Thursday. So basically, right there in the beginning of this article, look at how he's carrying this firearm through a crowd of protesters and nobody's rushing him. You don't see no officers that are dragging him to the ground. There's nobody putting knees on his neck. None of that. You notice that? So this should tell you what times we're living in. Anytime a young guy of his age can carry a firearm through a crowd of protesters freely without being apprehended by law enforcement. And you don't see police shooting at him, ending his life. You see him allowed to end other people's lives. And he's getting a standing, his mother and him are basically getting a standing ovation. They're getting the green light to murder and kill protesters that are from Black Lives Matter or that are opposed to police violence, sanctioned violence against black individuals or poor individuals that are from marginalized groups. They're getting a standing ovation to basically use sanctioned violence against innocent people. So Rittenhouse is only 17 years of age, is being charged as an adult for 6 counts, including 2 of the first-degree murder for alleged shooting Anthony Hoover and Joseph Rosenbaum with a semi-automatic military-style rifle. Now, he's 17 years old, and he's allowed to freely walk through a crowd of protesters with a semi-automatic military-style rifle. And so he has become the cause of celebrity among conservatives. Now, conservatives, if you're conservative, you're supposed to be affluent, you're supposed to be able to rationalize, and you're supposed to be, calm, collected, and able to realize that we can solve our issues in a diplomatic way without violence. But that's not what I'm seeing the conservatives do. They're basically encouraging sanctioned violence by having this man with a semi-automatic rifle, and he's only 17 years old. He's white from Illinois, and he's allowed to freely walk through a crowd of protesters and shoot whomever he may and take their lives. This should be enough for people to get it through their heads that this is wrong. This is beyond wrong. This is illegal. It's criminal. And the GOP is encouraging it. And so Michael, it says, he has become the cause of celebrate. And so Michael Malkin, an alt-right figure and political commentator who invited Rittenhouse's mother and lawyer to the event, Republican Women of Waukesha County. I don't know if they meant to say Waukesha or Waukegan, because Waukegan was where I was from in Illinois. And so it was an event that is associated with a variety of white supremacist figures and ideas, according to the Anti-Defamation League. Okay. And so know that these people are organized and they use their laws, they use the justice system to shield their sanctioned violence, to basically protect them and their ideologies. And that's the reason why Donald Trump, he hurried up and elected him and Mitch McConnell, elected Amy Coney Barrett, who basically they put her in the seat of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And so there's a lot of people that feel like Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell should have waited. They should have waited until after the election so that the person who is elected can decide who can replace Ruth Bader's Ginsburg's seat in SCOTUS. And so with all of this that you're seeing here, it connects. And so you have the alt-right figure, political commentators, and then you have white supremacist figures and ideas. All this is going on according to the Anti-Defamation League. They're trying to get all of their eggs in a basket, if you would, and work against the people. So she has defended Japanese internment and post 9/11 racial profiling of Muslims, the ADL says, and has called Black Lives Matter a terrorist organization and mocked when its supporters got hit by cars. So, do you hear that? They made fun of protesters getting hit by cars, they support racially profiling Muslims, and they defend or basically justify the reason why they had Japanese internment camps. These people are working overtime to bring us back to a time where it was sanctioned violence and it's okay to kill people just because they're not white or they're black or they're marginalized or they're poor or they're not fitting in their persona of what their ideology is. And so they're using this as a tool and it's working, unfortunately, which is sad. And so we got to have enough people to stand out and speak up and stand against these individuals and tell them what you're doing is criminal, what you're doing is illegal, and what you're doing is wrong. So days of demonstrating occurred in Kenosha in late August after the video showed police shooting Jacob Blake, who is a black, and 7 times he's a black guy. They shot him 7 times, I believe, in the back on August 23rd while his children were reportedly in the car. And so he is now paralyzed. He's paralyzed. That's not temporary, that's for life. Then they had the audacity to have people come in so he could try to calm the protesters. See, Mr. Jacob Blake, they are persuading you to basically pacify people who really should be speaking out and who really should be an outrage, because it's not just you that are getting killed. There's a lot of black people getting killed and getting hurt, and there's going to be more that follow thereafter if people don't stand up and say this is wrong and we must do something to change this. So Blake was facing a July arrest warrant for sexual assault, trespassing, and disorderly conduct at the time of the incident, when a woman whose complaint prompted the charges and called 911 to alert the police to Blake's presence at her home. Okay, so they always have to use the person's background history to basically size them up. And so the Department of Justice is investigating this incident. Okay, so August 25th, Rittenhouse traveled to Kenosha from his home in Antioch, Illinois, with a rifle, which he was too young to legally carry. He's only 17, and he joined the scores of armed conservative vigilantes converging around businesses at the protest. That was illegal. And the other people that were doing that, it was illegal. And you didn't see nobody putting knees in their neck, rushing them to the ground, and raffling and gifling them up. And you didn't see them getting beat up by cops. They were allowed to freely walk through those protesters and pick them off one by one, like shooting ducks in a pond. So videos from the night of the shooting shows Rittenhouse at various points. And so in one instance, 15 minutes before the shooting, police drive by and offer Rittenhouse and others water out of appreciation. Can you hear that? They offered the 17-year-old Rittenhouse water and other people that are probably potential shooters of protesters. Basically, those were murderers walking around. They were freely open to go out and kill protesters, people they didn't even know, just simply because based off of their beliefs, how they do not like Black Lives Matter. They're calling Black Lives Matter terrorists when you have homegrown terrorists walking around with semi-automatic rifles. They're too young to be carrying any guns they should not have access to at all. You know? So this right here, that's how you can see what times we are living. This is happening right now. We are seeing these things. This didn't happen years ago. Like, I used to hear people say, oh, the slavery and the lynchings happened years ago. Well, guess what? Now we got new types of lynching. We got public shootings. We got public lynchings where we see they're not hanging on trees, but we had some incidents where some people were mysteriously hanging on trees. But we also now have people publicly shot in front of their children, in front of their family, in front of protesters being harassed and shot simply for speaking out and exercising freedom of speech. You don't have to be carrying no weapon. You don't have to be doing anything or any malice towards anybody, just speaking out freedom of speech, and you can get killed and gunned down in the street. This is criminal. I think the terrorists are not the Black Lives Matter group. It's these people that you see like right here walking around and many others like him that are allowed to do this, and the GOP included, giving standing ovations, encouraging this type of behavior. And so that's who the terrorists really are. See, they have you to believe that the terrorists are Black Lives Matter because, see, that's a stereotype and a trope that they use to try to persuade you to believe that all black people are terrorists. They're violent. They're evil. They're all going out to kill us. But look at who we see here, and many others that's like him that are walking around with semi-automatic rifles just shooting innocent people just to be killing. And some of this is not because they're part of protest. This just gives them the green light to kill black people. They use that. Oh, we don't like Black Lives Matter, so we had to stop them. We shot them. No, they want to kill black people. That's what this is. And they want to kill poor people. They want to get rid of all the marginalized people. They basically going out and doing the same thing that Hitler was doing to Jewish people. And they're pretty much executing people in public, in broad daylight, sometimes at night, or around public settings. Out in the free world, they're publicly executing people. That is the new modern day lynching, is what they're doing. And so now this right here is saying that videos from the night shows of the shootings shows Rittenhouse at various points. And so in one instance, 15 minutes before the shooting, police drive by and offer the boy water and others water in appreciation. Patchy footage of the shooting incident shows Rittenhouse being pursued by a group attempting to seize his rifle, beginning to shoot, and then police initially ignoring him as he walks towards them with his hands up. And so counter demonstrators armed with military weapons and body armor are becoming an increasingly common sight across the country at Black Lives Matter protests. So this is the kind of stuff that Donald Trump has promoted. He has promoted this because anytime up here it says the GOP, He was at a GOP event. The mother was there, and political um, alt-right figures, commentators invited Rittenhouse's mother and the lawyer to the Republican Women of Waukesha County event. They basically telling you that we are giving the green light for these people to go around killing innocent people, executing them in public. You should know that there is going to be more and more anger that's going to erupt behind this. For people to see that they know certain groups of people could not openly walk around with a semi-automatic. You know what he was there for. Hands down, you know what he was there for. Look at this title that's out of the Independent. This is by Josh Marcus. Look what he's doing. Look what he's carrying. Look at this right here. They're basically encouraging him to murder people in the streets. So I'm going to let you see this right here. This is wrong. And so if you look at the right, you'll see Trump's pick for the Supreme Court, which I believe that was wrong. They should let the new or the re-elected or new, hopefully not re-elected, hopefully a new president decide the Supreme Court pick. That's my opinion on that issue right there. But they're trying to change things in rapid speed. And we are looking at this. Look at this right here. Look at this picture. Could a black 17-year-old boy carry a semi-automatic through a crowd of protesters and shoot them like this? Anyway, I'm going to let this video go. Like, comment, subscribe, and thank you for listening.